Yes, the rules provide for the protection of an ECA, and in that protection, the ability to transfer in some situations. But one of the pressures that came on was around this making subdivision more enabling, and one of the issues was, well, if someone's protecting ecological area, why can't they then subdivide within that block somewhere? The response to that was to put forward evidence to say, well, that could be allowed to a certain degree, and I think a ratio of a table was developed which said, well, if you protect a certain area, then you'll get the right to create a number of lots. I think it was capped at 3. So if you went on to actually expand that ECA, then again you could get some additional lots, but the limit was 3. And again, that was a response to submissions.
In transferable titles, excuse me, was that limited to 3 as well, or was it just on a number of hectares per block or something?
With the ECA, as I understand it, there was a scale up to a maximum. It didn't go on forever, but there is a relationship between the area that you're protecting and how many lots you can get.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cashmore. Councillor Quacks.
Yeah, was any comment made about, and I can understand the desire to protect elite soils and so forth, but was there any comment made on using land for its highest economic use?
Well, that was one of the real debating issues at the hearings.
Run skyscrapers and talk.
There were those who said that this kind of intervention was unnecessary because if you look back over the last, let's say, 40 years, there's been a steady increase in production and productivity. Well, you'd expect that, of course, with the increase in the application of science and so on. But there's no doubt that the studies we had that underpinned our evidence is that there is a loss of productivity if you don't regulate in some way. And we were trying to find the appropriate balance for regulating our rural areas. So that's part of the answer to your question. Yes, the economic effects of protecting rural land, of course, had to be weighed against its other uses. But what you do find if you go for the more relaxed, highest and best use, which is, I think, the valuer's term, that what you get is a lot of fragmentation and eventually your production and your productivity dries up because of reverse sensitivity, because of value, and all those sorts of factors come into play. So the question really for us and the council was, to what extent do you want to safeguard rural production within the region? And we looked at this, and again our evidence from AT and others was that the rural sector contributes a very significant amount to the rural economy, and in fact to the urban economy, because a lot of the workers in rural areas, particularly in the abattoirs and that sort of thing, live in town and work in the country. So it's really a matter of balancing up which gives you the best economic return, quite apart from safeguarding the security of food supply for the region, given that our large horticultural areas are really right on the edge of our urban area. There's a real tension.
Yeah, the Mayor will be familiar with the report that was done for the Manukau City Council back in 2005 in regards to a piece of land which is basically now used for strawberry fields, but showed that if you used it for for commercial or industrial use, the economic value from that land was 1,200% higher than it was the strawberry fields, and it created 268% more jobs than using them for strawberry fields. So I'm sure that's all been weighed up.
Well, it was, and I think we're not that short of land that we couldn't say, well, let's have both. Let's put the light industrial land on the lesser quality, and we've still got the higher productive land, so we get the strawberries and the industry. In locations like, there are specific locations like round the airport, where in fact you just have to bite the bullet, and there's been a lot of debate in that particular area of this very issue, because it is highly productive, as well as being near the international airport.
Excellent. Thank you. Well answered, Bain. Very delighted listening to you. Thank you. Councillor Casey, finally.
Oh, it was just a comment on your use of poultry and piggeries as appropriate rural activities, given that the majority of both of these, the poor little creatures' feet never touch the ground. They could actually be anywhere in industrial areas.
I think, you know, there's a certain amount of truth in that, I guess, but you don't normally find that. It's just the off-site effects of the dust and the smell and things like that tend not to be all that well received in an urban area.
There's a growing amount of free range, Kathy.
Oh no, I'm very happy with that. It's
Okay.
the ones that are contained in sow crates and cages that I'm talking to, where they're just stacked in a room and they never see the light of day. Really.
Barry and Bain, thank you so much for covering that section. Really well done. Thank you, John, also. Members, I think we probably need a 10-minute break. It is, can we come back at, let's say, 25 past 3?
Press the button. It's a video. I don't know.
We'll adjourn until then.
I just wait.